Welcome to Black Women in Media. This is a new interview series from GurlCoMedia where we sit down with Black women shaping the film, television, and digital media landscape, both in front of the camera and behind.
And these conversations are about inspiration, authenticity, and definitely community. Because when we uplift one another, we all rise. You'll hear stories from directors, writers, crew members, and other creatives who are changing the game in real time.
Yes, and our goal is super simple. It is to create space, share knowledge, and remind Black women everywhere that regardless of when you decide to be part of this industry, there is a place for you.
Period.
We
Guest
want
is
everybody to,
TS Hawkins, an international author, performance poet, art activist, and award winning educator. As a proud member of the Dramatists Guild, TS has made a powerful impact both on stage and in the classroom, using the arts as a tool for storytelling, healing, and social change. Their work has been recognized by a wide range of institutions and media outlets, including being named one of the Philadelphia Gay News's 48 most influential LGBTQ plus leaders, serving as a scholar in residence at the University of Pennsylvania LGBT Center, and receiving the Victory Foundation's Barry Moore Award for Excellence in Theater Education. You might have also seen their name pop up in Philadelphia Magazine's Best of Philly, on NPR, WHYY, WURD Radio, Philly Voice, the Chicago Tribune, and more. As a playwright, TS has been a semi-finalist for the Frank Moffat Moser Fellowship for Works in Heightened Language and a finalist for the prestigious Dramatists Guild Foundation National Fellowship for 2024 and 2025. Some of their most exciting ongoing projects include Trail Off, Community Capital, an Afrofuturism South Philly walking experience, and Becoming Saturn, their debut studio poetry album released with Hawk Hat Music. Let's welcome TS to the show. Okay, and we are here live and glorious with the TS
come
Hawkins.
on now.
Hello,
Hey,
hello, and
TS.
hello.
Hi. How are y'all?
We
Thank
are
you for
so
having me.
excited to talk with you.
I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm ready.
Yeah, I mean, so we first, just a little snippet before we began.
Yes.
We first worked with TS on stages, episode 2, where last minute changes, we had to change the entire scene. I was busy doing 10 other things. Nay was busy doing 10 other things. And, our executive producer was EPN. And I came to you and I said, we got to change this scene. Can you please write it?
Yeah,
And you
You did it
said, you
on the
said,
fly.
say less, say less.
it was
And
fun.
Yes.
It was a very energetic experience. I was like, oh, okay, because you come in, you're like, I am being, hired to do this one thing.
yeah.
Yes. And
And
then
oh
we're just like,
no.
pen and paper, please write this whole scene over again.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, okay. And then luckily I had a really cool, scene partner, who was like,
Yes.
Yes.
it's changing.
Janice,
Yes.
Yes,
yes.
Janice, right? And it's like it's changing, how can we best support each other in this moment? And, even with the line changes and the line shifts, she was on it, I was on it,
You
and
were
it was
on
like
it.
that's how it was already written. So
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell
Mm-hmm.
you, that is such a powerful scene. It is one of my favorite scenes because just how like we ease into it and it's a quiet time for your character. You're just kind of, you just finished a group talk and you're just sitting there in the quiet and Victoria um comes in and it is such
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
glorious,
It was
beautiful
powerful.
scene.
It really
Yes.
was.
Yeah.
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 The intimacy of it was really beautiful
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
for me because I wasn't expecting that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And so for it to be like gone from a scene that's supposed to be this big to a scene that's
Mm-hmm.
now this
Yeah.
Yes.
big, it was
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
focusing on, you know, the immediate character development and then
Yeah.
like,
Right.
you know, bringing all of that emotional intensity to that moment. So it was really cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for making it
Yeah.
as pivotal as it was. So let me jump in with our first question. Can you share a specific memory or experience that ignited your passion for your creative endeavors?
I've been in the arts and I know that's what people say, you know, I've been doing art since, you know, I was knee high to a grasshopper. But but for me, that was kind of actually true. The beautiful
Mm,
part about being born into a house of educators is that they understand how the arts are integral to the
mm,
education process as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
there was never a time where art felt separate from the day
Wow.
to day. So it was really hard for me to be like, it was this moment, it was this moment, it was this moment. I'm pretty sure if
mm,
you ask my mother, she'll have a completely different answer. But for me, it was just like arts, like the way we breathe involuntarily is how
mm.
arts is for me.
Yeah. Me too.
So like I can
Same,
pinpoint, yeah. So like I can
same.
pinpoint moments that like made me happy or like made me proud, you know, and finding different layers of my voice, but not necessarily like this is the moment, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
art was art. Like art has been a
You were
functioning
born
part of
into
my
it.
existence. Yeah,
Yes, yes. The soul was already like, yeah, we know what we're
Yeah.
going to be doing in
this is
this
what we're
life.
doing.
Right. Right. So in that creative, what bit you, the creative bug? Art was always there, but
Right.
what was it first? Was it written or was it stage or was it acting? Was it music? Which one?
Ironically, it was dance.
Oh.
My mother put me in dance at a very early age, you know, baby ballet and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. And that really helped me, you know, learn how to like use my body, you know, in different
Ooh.
ways to tell a story. And
Oh.
I was in dance, you know, since I was very, very young, up until high school, you
Mm-hmm.
know, tap, jazz, ballet, all of that. And then, you know, college is where I made the shift. Well, early mid high school to college is where I actually made the shift in terms of like, no, dance is not really me. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's a part of my voice, but it is not the
Hmm.
most ingenuous part of my voice.
Yeah.
So it went from dance to music, of course, always singing in the choir, having voice lessons, doing all of that stuff, being involved in musicals, which also helped, you know, dancing,
Mm-hmm.
put the dance and
Hmm.
music together.
Yeah.
But writing is where I was like, this is it.
That's the sweet
And
spot.
the funny part about that is the writing is where I struggled the most in school.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
understood, you know, literacy and putting all
Mm-hmm.
those things together and
Mm-hmm.
storytelling, all of that is beautiful, but writing was
Mm-hmm.
not my strongest.
Yeah,
And it
universe
wasn't
does
until,
that. Universe
yeah,
does that, right?
Hmm.
Universe is like, yeah, you're good at dance, you're good at singing, but your love is going to be something that you are going to have to work on every day.
I do.
And maybe
And
it was,
I do still.
yeah. And maybe it was because in school, at least for me, it wasn't creative writing. It was reports about history that I gave zero damns about. So maybe
I
that's why
was
it was such a struggle for me to write those book reports or those group projects, and I had to do all this writing, and I was like, this isn't my jam. This isn't
right.
fun. I need
And that's
characters.
it wasn't fun. And that's what writing was regulated to, you know, at
Yeah.
a specific time in, you know,
Yep.
educational development. It was like, oh, okay. So, you know, write this report. I was like, oh, if I have
Hmm.
to write one more report about Harriet Tubman, if I have
Right.
to
Or.
write one more report, you
Yeah.
know, about Columbus,
Hmm.
and I'm just
Hmm.
like,
Yes.
I can't
Hmm.
with the declarative sentence, and
Yes.
In
it drove me
conclusion.
nuts.
And the
Right, and
footnotes.
footnotes were the worst. And then it was like, no, you have this play
Bibliography.
form and this form, and I was like, APA form, and I was like, you know what? Somebody else said it before
Yes.
I did. Who cares?
Yeah. 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 That rings quite true for us.
Yes.
Your work is deeply layered. Um,
Deeply.
deeply. How did the concept of Afrofuturism enter your world, and what does it mean to you to as both a creator and a visionary?
The way Afrofuturism entered in was, of course, Janelle Monáe, of
Hmm.
course, Erica Badu. Those are definite inspirations for me, along with Octavia Butler, Parable of the Sower.
Yeah.
However, I wanted to look at that at a deeper lens, right? Because I know the running joke is like, there's no Black person in the world who wants to go to the past, so we are always thinking about the future.
Hmm.
And with those three beautiful artists that I mentioned earlier, of course, the future is thinking about the year, 4000 something something,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean?
Hmm.
My interpretation of Afrofuturism is today.
Mm.
Mm,
I am Afrofuture. It doesn't have to be the year 3000, after an apocalypse where, someone Black has to ultimately save the world yet again.
Hmm.
You
again.
know, today is Afrofuturism. Because if you think
Wow.
about it, like, how many grandparents I had to have before I was here today to say these words
Mm,
that I'm saying to you
Right?
now?
Ooh, come on,
I,
sis. Come on.
yeah, yeah,
like, I am Afrofuture. You are like your
yeah.
existence in today and your hope for tomorrow is Afrofuture. It doesn't have
Mm,
to be something so kind of, like, you don't have to like disappear from this realm for it to be Afrofuture. So that's where I challenge it a bit to get people to center themselves in the moment and in the present, that they are actually the walking change that they want to see.
mm.
That is
Girl.
very
Woo.
powerful. That is very, very powerful. Before
Yeah.
my next question, I definitely want to take a step back and apologize for not using the right pronoun. I should have said,
Yes.
come on,
Uh,
they. Come on, they.
come on, day.
Thank you.
Yes. Same with me. Same with me. It just, yes. I will definitely be more cognizant.
Thank you. I understand. I mean, I everybody's walk is different. I present femme, but I am non-binary. My pronouns are they, them.
Hmm. Honoring that. Um, so there is power in the now. That's what Afrofuturism means to you. Like now
Absolutely.
is the time.
Now is
Yeah.
the
And
time.
not in the future, just now. I love that. I absolutely love that. So you've been celebrated for creating brave, yes, transformative spaces. What does it mean to you to take up space as a queer Black creative on the page, on stage, and in your community?
It means kind of like a ruffled resilience.
Mm.
Because as like as many times as like, what, this is too straight, or this, this is
Hmm.
too Black. It's not queer enough. It's not, you know what I mean? And someone is always just trying to iron that out. It's like, okay, thank you for introducing that to us, but now we're just going to go back to the way things are, because there's accountability attached to it,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So when I step into a space, I have self accountability, always doing your self inventory, but also holding the community accountable for what it's supposed to do.
Wow.
It is supposed to be inclusive. It is
Hmm.
supposed to be diverse. It is supposed to be equitable, and not by the status quo of what a supremic outlook has said. This is what those three things mean.
Mm,
So being seen in those moments is affirming, and it's like,
Hmm.
I should keep going. And even
Hmm.
in the times when I'm not being affirmed, I keep going anyway.
How do you reaffirm yourself when everything seems bleak, when everyone is pushing back, and
Naps.
rigid? Would you say?
We talked about it earlier, but naps. People think that's it's like, it is funny, but it is also not a joke, because
mm.
everybody needs a moment to just reset, whatever that
Yes.
reset is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I have been very attuned to my naps, because especially in this climate that we are actually like wading through, yet
Mm-hmm.
again,
Mm-hmm.
if I didn't take the number of naps necessary, oh, brimstone and hellfire. Like,
Yeah.
I would just walk into buildings as a torch and, like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
that also doesn't move any needles forward or get anyone to listen to you when you are just on fire all the time. And as someone who is Black, and queer, I have a right to be on fire all the time.
Right. Right.
However, how can we really make sustainable change
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if we are
Mm-hmm.
always the torch?
Yeah.
Mm.
And also, how do we use our fire in the right way?
Exactly.
Right?
I like to be a controlled burn. Naps help me be a
Come
controlled
on.
burn.
Right? Amen.
Slow and
Amen.
steady.
That's right.
Slow and
Amen.
steady.
That's right.
That really does. What's the saying? Slow and steady
Wins the race.
ways. Yeah. And that's where like you get those naps, you do feel
Yeah.
re-energized. You do feel like TS and I were saying earlier, you're ready to take on the second half of the day,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever
Mm-hmm.
that is for you. That nap does the reset. I'm all in for that.
Mhm.
Your TS, your work blends genres and formats in powerful ways. Um, what draws you to interactive or experimental storytelling?
I think it's because it's always been integral to the way I've lived my life. As I've said earlier, like arts was math, arts was science,
Mm-hmm.
arts was gym, art
Mm-hmm.
was
Mm,
history, right? And that's what I said, like, I understand that's probably one of my privileges being born into a house of educators, understanding that everything is interdisciplinary. So when you try to make one thing, you're really not hitting all the notes, all the chakras that people need to
mm.
see your work.
Yeah.
So I try to be as interdisciplinary as possible.
And how do you hope your audiences feel after engaging with your work?
I hope they, always walk away learning something and
Mm,
also being the spark to the change that they need to make in their lives and or their community.
mm.
Just a spark.
So,
Light a fire somewhere. You just that's
yeah.
it, right? You just need to light a fire,
Right.
and then they can take it from like just
And they can take it from there.
they yeah, yep. Mm,
How
okay.
did becoming Saturn become?
Becoming Saturn was around my 30th birthday because that's the Saturn return.
Mm-hmm.
Your 30s, your 60s, and if you are blessed, your 90s.
Mm,
It's like, your first rotation into oneself. And
Mm-hmm.
so I had been working on that for a while, like different pieces ebbed in and ebbed out of it, because I wanted to understand how I was stepping into my own,
Mm-hmm.
not the teachings from my parents and my ancestors and not
Mm-hmm.
the knowledge that I've gained from the world and not the things, that I was oppressed with,
Yeah.
living in
Yeah.
right.
society. What does it mean to step into my own?
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Like internally,
Yeah.
intrinsically, and own that and honor that, the beautiful, the ugly, the
Mm-hmm.
flawed, all of that. And so, yeah, my 30s were popping. Like I know a lot of folks like when you turn 30, you gonna feel some type of way. But I didn't get that energy because I think I was already prepared for it. Like so, like when you're in
mm,
tune to something other than yourself, then it's easier to step into that rotation. And I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people are boggled in their 30s because they didn't tap in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah. I was
100%.
I I was not I was completely untapped. My third I knew my life shifted, but
Mm-hmm.
I had no understanding of what was happening. And for me, the biggest shift has happened in when I turned 50. Like that when
Yeah.
I turned 50, all of a sudden I was like, oh,
Yeah. My,
oh.
my
Because it's preparing you again. It's
Yes,
for
preparing
her
yes,
you again.
for 60.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that
yes,
My
other
yeah.
rotation
I was
is preparing.
becoming Saturn at 30. I had my son and I knew I needed to figure things out,
Mm.
right? Um and now in my 50s, man, I am popping. Oh my God.
Life has never been this good. Truly. I was like, oh,
Like,
so this is what y'all were telling us about. Like this is like, oh, so
mhm.
this is that feeling.
Like I
Yeah.
really understand my power,
Mm,
right?
And that's
And I
what, yeah.
understand my fire,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So I
So,
look forward to that. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet.
well,
I had that first baton, you know. I established, I found what my boundaries were because,
mhm,
in my 20s, I was just like, life be like that, you
mm,
know. Uh,
mhm,
and I made boundaries, and some of those boundaries hurt, personal relationships. Some of those boundaries hurt familiar relationships.
yeah,
Some of them to this day still do. And guess what? I don't
Mhm.
care. Like
yep,
the boundary is clear, and now that the boundary is steadfast, okay.
Mm,
Now I look
mhm.
mhm,
forward to the next one because I'm tapped
yep,
in. I'm ready.
yep,
Yes.
yep. So, as someone who's blazing paths in multiple disciplines, can you talk about what does legacy mean to you?
Mm, that's always a weighted question. And every
Mm-hmm.
time I get it, I feel like the answer shifts, but I think it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Legacy for me now in this moment is preparing others with tools to access and find voice.
Mm-mm-mm. Girl, we're gonna
Mm.
have some great shorts.
We are.
You are
TS is dropping.
dropping.
They're gonna be like, can we watch the whole interview or y'all just gonna keep
Oh
dropping
my
all these?
gosh. Say it
Yeah.
again.
Yes.
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 Legacy for me is making sure that giving people the tools,
Mm.
for them to have access
Mm,
to find voice.
mm,
And can I ask, because I think you had mentioned earlier that you're amongst children.
Yes.
So how is the, your view on legacy playing as you are literally with the future?
mm-hmm.
I
You
am with the future, and
Mhm.
in earnest, sometimes it feels bleak. However, and I think at some point, you're not a true educator if you don't say those words and
Yeah.
Mm,
chuckle,
Mm-hmm.
when you say it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I do. There's moments you're like, it is bleak. And I say that, in a layered context. There,
Hmm.
I sit with the youth who had to go through a pandemic. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't too shook by it. I had to be an adult, during the housing crisis and the recession and the first black
Right.
president. So, I'm used to promises
Mm-hmm.
being unpromised.
Mm. Mm.
Yes,
We
as
were ready
children
for
of the
that.
80s, we
We
learned that
learned that.
quickly in the 80s.
That
We were just like,
quick,
oh.
like, the generation before me is like, oh yes, my white picket fence. And I'm just like, so student loans has said I could live in a storage closet for $1,000 a month. I'm cool, you know?
Oh my gosh.
So when I sit with literally young voices, I'm sitting with the young voices and the struggle sometimes to get them to see that they are creative,
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm,
their voice matters is mind-boggling to me. And I know, like, I never want to be at the, like, get off my lawn,
Mm.
generation. But I think technology does play a way into it. I'm not saying technology
Yes.
is a problem because technology has saved us in ways that we
yeah.
we don't even know how it's going to
Yeah,
save us again.
100%.
I
100%.
Hmm.
think how technology has been watered down in a way to keep us uncreative,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
miscommunicative,
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
and unsustainable is saddening.
Yeah.
My students literally struggle to find power in their voice. They
Mm-hmm.
literally say, well, what do you want me to do? Just tell me to do it and I'll just do that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I can't write your play for you. I can't write your monologue, your poem for you. I can't write your essay for you. And now I have to sit and find these super creative, prompts for them
Hmm.
because they're automatically going to use OpenAI or Chat
Mm-hmm.
GPT because they don't know how to be creative because guess what?
Yeah.
We haven't taught them. This is a whole generation, who has grew up in front of
Yes.
a screen of some sort.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? My first screen was the box TV on the floor with the knobs. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't have a computer until my mother's school was like, oh, people should have computers. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And
Neither
the
did
first thing
we.
on there was
Mhm.
Oregon Trail, and Emily always died of dysentery. So, so I,
Poor
you know,
Emily.
you know, Emily was never going to make it. And I think that was the rule of the game. Like somebody had to die of dysentery, and it
Yeah.
was going to be Emily.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
so I came up through the evolution of
Mhm.
technology,
Yes.
whereas this generation, boom, in your face. Technology does anything you want it to do. Go on,
Yeah.
have at it. And
Yeah.
so they don't know how to be creative. When my mama said, "Don't come back in,"
You did not come
you
back
didn't come back
in.
in.
Make it.
You
So
did
you
not come
found
back
something
in.
to do.
Right. Right.
When
Oh,
that, when you would, when you had those notebooks and it was just you laying on your bed with a pencil,
and
That's
you
writing your
it.
were just
thoughts,
writing.
that
Writing.
was
Random
your creative
things,
space. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
scribbling.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would read the same book, 4 or 5 times.
Right.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like that was my binge. That was my stream.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can say now though, I'm a perfect binger. I can I
Yeah.
can binge a whole season of something in a night. I'm good.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying, that is a learned characteristic. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
so with them, I as much as they are entitled with their access to all of these beautiful things, it they still have no voice.
Mm.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give to emerging artists as they develop their voice and navigate through their own creative truth?
Read a book, especially a banned
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. A
Always
hundred. Yeah.
find moments to sit in a corner, to
Mm-hmm.
read,
Mm.
to learn, go to various cultural festivals, just to make sure that your world is, as Shange would put it, not 6 blocks.
Mm.
Mm. Mm. Mm. Mm.
Ooh, a word.
This has been a sermon by TS Hawkins on Resurrection Day.
Mm. Mm.
And listen, souls have been resurrected today because it is
Truly.
that art within us, right? And it's that personal resurrection that we
Mm.
all need to aspire to. How do I become a better human? How do I become a better person, a better artist? So thank you for this. But
Yes.
we got one more thing though.
Okay.
We got this thing called rapid fire
Okay.
because this is the real
Don't take it
TS.
seriously.
I was like,
Don't take it seriously.
what would my therapist say? Answers. Okay. Okay.
So we are going to give you 1 minute. Nate has the questions, and it's just your answer.
Okay.
Okay. So you let us know when you're ready.
I'm ready as I'll ever be.
Nate, you ready?
All right. Let's
All
do
right.
this.
And go.
Uno or spades?
Uno.
McDonald's fries or Burger King onion rings?
Burger King onion rings.
See?
Real Housewives of Atlanta or Married with Medicine?
Ooh, they both messy.
Mm-hmm.
Real Housewives of Atlanta. They're my OGs.
Carrot cake or red velvet?
Red Velvet.
Pose or P Valley?
Ooh, P Valley. That's where the girls
P-Valley.
go.
Would you rather have Beyonce narrate your life or Missy Elliott direct your dreams?
See, I'm not trying to get cut by the hive, but I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go with Missy Elliott. Come on now.
Yeah, I'm there with you on that. And finally, you're hosting a cookout.
Mhm.
Who's top five? Who's your
Time.
top five?
Time.
Oh.
Jeez.
Really, Ned? Are we holding her to the one
Okay, but
minute
no, I want to hear your top five on the cookout
on the
playlist.
playlist? Who's your top five?
Cookout playlist. Okay. Janelle Monáe. Ooh. Ooh, oh, the elements. You can't do without the elements.
Earth, Wind, and
Earth, Wind,
Fire.
And
and
fire.
yes, Earth,
Yep.
Wind, and Fire. Janelle Monáe, the elements, Whitney Houston,
Mm-hmm.
Stevie Wonder,
One more.
and Bob Marley.
Okay.
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 I received that list. I received it.
That was good. That was good.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we just want to thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing and dropping all of this knowledge and love.
Thank you for having me. That was fun.
Can go ahead, Nick.
I was going to say, TS, can you tell our audience where they can find you, how they can find you?
Well, yeah, I mean, technology on the I have a website that'll give you everything you need to know, all of my up-to-date stuff. You can visit me at www.tspoetics.com.
So
We
thank
thank
you.
you, TS.
Mhm.
This was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Really fun.
Talk to you soon.
That was fire. That was fire.
TS. That's right. Burger King onion rings. That's right. That's right.
Really, really, Net. Really. Is that what we're holding on to? Is that the hill we're going to die on today?
Mhm. Mhm.
Gems all around, teachings. I know I'm going to take my nap, but also take time to really, really just allow TS's words to wash
Yeah.
over me because
Yeah.
they really, they really said many things today. If for those watching, if you're enjoying this conversation as much as we enjoy all of these conversations, please don't forget to like, subscribe to the GurlCoMedia YouTube channel. We've got more dynamic Black creatives in media coming your way every month, so stay tuned.
Tuned. All right. So until next time,
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
be great.